There's a form in your father's files that he filled out the year you were in middle school. 1 page. He signed it the day he opened his 401k at work, named a beneficiary, and never looked at it again. He's been through a lot since then. A divorce, a second marriage. And last year he sat down with a lawyer and did the responsible thing. He made a will, a clean one, that splits everything he owns between you and your sister. Here's what nobody told him. That will does not touch his 401k. Not $1 of it. When your father dies, the largest account he owns is going to pay out to a single name on that one form. And if that name is still his first wife, she gets it. The will can say whatever it wants. It never gets a vote. I know how that sounds. It sounds like it can't possibly be legal. It is. It happens to careful families every single week. And the cruelest part is that everyone involved thought the will had it covered. So before you assume your parents already did their estate stuff, stay with me. There's a short list of forms that quietly outrank the will, and there's a simple way to check every one of them while it can still be fixed. Stand your family in the middle of this for a second, because the whole thing grows out of a single wrong assumption. Picture your father. He believes, like almost everyone believes, that the will is the top of the chain. The master document. He signed it, so the matter is closed, and he never has to think about it again. That belief is the trap, because a will is not the top of the chain. A will only controls the things that don't already have someone's name on them, and the biggest things he owns do. His 401k has a name on it. His IRA has a name on it. His life insurance, his pension, that annuity, all of them pay a named beneficiary directly. The moment he dies, before the will is even read, before a probate judge ever sees the file, those accounts don't ask what the will says. They ask one question: whose name is on the form? Now picture you. You're the heir. You're the one who trusts that dad handled it, who finds out what was really on those forms at the worst possible time. Standing in a lawyer's office 3 weeks after the funeral, being told that the account you assumed was split down the middle went entirely to someone else. And by then it is frozen. There is nothing a court will do. The window to fix it closed the day he died. Now, if you saw my video on joint bank accounts, you already know one way money can skip the will, by putting someone's name on the account while your parent is alive. This is the quieter version of the same lesson. Nobody has to add a name. The name is already there, on a form from decades ago, waiting. So let me show you exactly how a form beats a will, in plain language, because once you see the order of operations, you'll never trust "I made a will" as the whole answer again. Think of your parents' estate as 2 separate piles. The first pile is everything that passes by beneficiary, the retirement accounts, the life insurance, the annuities, the payable on death accounts. That pile has names attached and pays those names directly. The second pile is everything else: the house, the car, the checking account with no beneficiary, the belongings. The will only governs that second pile. It never reaches into the first. So when the 401k is the largest thing your father owns, the will is quietly in charge of the small pile, and the form is in charge of the big one. And here is the rule that catches good families. The form beats the will every time, even when the form is wrong. A will written last year cannot override a beneficiary designation signed in 1997. The account administrator is not allowed to read your father's will, or his heart, or the room. They pay the name on the form, full stop. Which brings us to the one that makes people the angriest. Divorce does not automatically remove an ex-spouse from a 401k. I'll say that again, because it's the single most expensive misunderstanding in this whole area. Your parents can be divorced for 20 years, and if his first wife is still the named beneficiary on his employer's 401k or pension, she is legally entitled to it. There's a federal law behind this called ERISA, and the Supreme Court settled it back in 2001 in a case called Egelhoff. A man died shortly after his divorce. His ex was still on his pension and life insurance, and the court ruled that federal law required the plan to pay her, not his children, no matter what a state divorce decree said. The form won. It always wins. And to make it more confusing, some accounts, many IRAs, some life insurance, follow different state rules that might revoke an ex automatically, and others don't, so you cannot guess, and you cannot assume the divorce took care of it. You have to look at each one. And it isn't only the ex. There are quieter ways this goes wrong. If the one person named as beneficiary has already died, and your parent never named a backup, a contingent, the account has nowhere to go, so it falls into the estate. That sounds harmless. It isn't. It drags a probate-free account into probate, where it can be delayed for months, exposed to creditors, and, if your parent was on Medicaid, reached by estate recovery. All avoidable with one backup name. And if a well-meaning parent names a grandchild directly, a minor, the money can't go to a child, so it goes to a court-supervised account until that child turns 18 and receives a lump sum with no guidance at all. Every one of these is a form, filled out once, with love, and never checked again. Here's how it actually plays out in one family. Because a diagram only lands once, there are real people standing inside it.
Frank was 68, remarried, and by every measure he did things right. He had 2 kids from his first marriage, a wife of 15 years from his second, and a will he'd updated carefully to take care of all of them. He felt finished. He felt like a good man who had handled his business. What Frank never did was pull the beneficiary form on his 401k, the account he'd opened at 34, back in his first marriage. It still named his first wife. When Frank died, his will did exactly what he wrote. It divided the house and the savings among his current wife and his kids. But his 401k, which had quietly grown into the largest thing he owned, far larger than everything the will controlled, paid out in full to a woman he'd divorced 22 years earlier. She was gracious about it. She didn't have to be. It was hers.
What Frank's widow kept coming back to wasn't the size of the loss, staggering as it was. It was the cruelty of the mechanics. Frank died certain he'd protected her, and a single form he'd forgotten existed quietly turned his own will into a suggestion. Nobody cheated the family. His first wife didn't scheme for it. The plan simply mailed the money to the name on file. The law wasn't bent or broken. It worked precisely as written, on a page Frank hadn't read in 30 years. Frank's will was current, thoughtful, and completely sincere. And a form from 1990 overruled all of it. So let's make sure your parents' forms actually say what they think they say. This is the shield. The good news, and it's real good news, is that this is one of the most fixable problems in all of estate planning. It costs nothing but an afternoon, and it has to happen while your parent is alive, which means the time is now. 3 moves. Move 1. Make the list. Sit down and write out every single account that has a beneficiary line on it. The 401k and any old ones from past employers, every IRA, the pension, life insurance, work and personal, annuities, and any bank or brokerage account marked payable on death or transfer on death. You cannot check forms you haven't found, and the forgotten old 401k from a job 3 employers ago is exactly the one still naming the wrong person. Move 2. Pull each form and actually read it, both lines, not just the primary beneficiary, the contingent too, the backup. You're hunting for 4 things: an ex-spouse still listed, a person who has since died, a blank where a backup should be, and the words "my estate," or a minor's name sitting on the line. Any one of those is a problem waiting for the worst day to reveal itself. Most families have never once looked at these forms since the day they signed them. Move 3. Update them to match the will, and get a professional's eyes on the tricky ones. Name a primary and always a contingent. If the intended beneficiary is a grandchild who's still a minor, name a trust or a custodian under the Transfers to Minors Act, never the child directly. And know this one: if your father is remarried, his new spouse generally has to consent in writing before he can name anyone other than her on a workplace 401k. These are exactly the details an hour with an advisor or an elder law attorney is built for. Do those 3, and the forms finally say what your parents actually mean. The big pile and the small pile point the same direction, and no name from 1997 gets to overrule the family they love today. Now the honest edges, because this is an area where a confident guess is dangerous. It is not one uniform rule across every account, and that's the whole reason you have to check each one instead of assuming. A workplace 401k or pension runs on federal ERISA law, so the X stays until the form is changed, and the spousal consent rules apply. But many IRAs and some life insurance policies fall under state law instead, and a number of states do automatically revoke an ex-spouse on divorce for those specific assets. So one of your parents' accounts might have quietly fixed itself, and the one right next to it did not. There's also a choice on most forms between two little phrases, per stirpes and per capita, that decides whether a deceased beneficiary's share flows down to their children or gets absorbed by the others, and families get that one wrong all the time. And naming a trust as the beneficiary of a retirement account, while sometimes exactly right, interacts with the 10-year payout rules that changed under the Secure Act, so it has tax timing to think through, not a do-it-yourself move. Each of those wrinkles lands in the same place. One review with an advisor or an elder law attorney in your parent's state, while your parent is here to sign the update. It costs an afternoon. The alternative costs the whole account. So come back to that form in your father's files, the one page he signed and forgot. Whether his will actually holds up doesn't come down to how much he loved you. He wrote the will to prove that part. It comes down to something smaller and stranger, whether one person, one time, opens that drawer, pulls the form, and reads the name on it out loud, while he's still here to fix it. Tonight doesn't call for an attorney or a trust. It calls for one sentence, said out loud. When did you last look at the beneficiary form on your 401k and your life insurance? If the answer is a shrug, or years ago, or the bank has it somewhere, you've just found the most important afternoon your family will spend this year. You're not accusing anyone of anything. You're making sure the will they were proud to sign actually gets the final word. Your parents spent a lifetime trying to leave things in order for you. If this helped you make sure they actually will, hit subscribe. I put out a new one of these twice a week, and I'd always rather you check the form a year early than find out about it a month too late. And if you know a family where a parent has been divorced, remarried, or just hasn't thought about these accounts in a decade, hit like, because that's the family this was made for. A form only gets to overrule a will when nobody remembers to read it. Now you will. Your family isn't leaving this one to a piece of paper nobody checked. I'll see you in the next one.